The smell of cinnamon rolls used to remind me of Sundays with my mom. Now it reminded me of silence. The kind that presses against your ears like you're underwater. My name is Naomi. I used to laugh loud, hug hard, cry when I was happy. Now, at 32, I barely recognized the sound of my own voice. That morning, I sat alone at the breakfast table, stirring coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. Lucas was already gone. He always left early on Sundays, said he needed time to think. I didn't ask questions anymore. Funny, when we first met, that silence between us felt comfortable, intimate, like we could read each other without words. Now, it was a cage. We'd been married 5 years. 5 years since I'd last seen my sister, 3 years since my mother's number stopped working, 1 year since I'd heard my father's voice. Lucas always had a reason. Your sister's just jealous. Naomi, your mom only calls to guilt trip you. Your dad never respected you anyway. At first, I believed him. Lucas had this calm, intelligent way of speaking, like everything he said was for my own good, like his distance from my family was love, not control. But things started to shift. It was subtle at first. He didn't like when I wore my hair the way I used to in high school, said it made me look immature. He raised his eyebrow every time I brought up childhood memories. He rolled his eyes when I cried during family movies. Then came the real isolation. He'd forget to tell me when my mom called. He blocked my sister on social media by accident. He told me they were all toxic, dramatic, attention-seeking. I let it happen, because part of me wanted to believe I had built a better life. Because admitting the truth would mean facing how far I'd fallen. The moment everything changed came on a Tuesday. I was folding laundry when a call came through on my old backup phone, the one Lucas didn't know I kept in my sock drawer. Turned off, dead battery. I had plugged it in the night before just to see. The message was from my cousin. I'm so sorry about your dad. I can't believe he's gone. The funeral was beautiful. I wish you'd been there. I stared at the screen like it was in another language. My father was dead. My hands trembled so hard I dropped the phone. Lucas hadn't said a word. When he came home that night, calm as ever, I played along. I made his favorite dinner, lasagna with extra ricotta, and poured him a glass of wine. I even smiled. He took a bite, chewed slowly, looked up at me. What's the occasion? He asked. I smiled wider. Oh, nothing, I said, just grateful. That night, while he snored beside me, I stared at the ceiling until sunrise. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. I needed proof. I needed a plan. Because this wasn't just emotional abuse anymore. This was erasure. The next day, I took the bus downtown, told Lucas I was meeting a client. In reality, I went to my father's grave. The cemetery was quiet. Overgrown grass, rows of names that no one visited anymore. I found his headstone. My knees buckled. He had passed away 2 months ago. 2 months. I had lived through it like it was any other week, cleaning floors, folding sheets, making dinner for the man who stole my chance to say goodbye. I knelt down, placed trembling fingers on the stone, and whispered, I'm sorry, Dad, I should have known. I didn't cry. Not yet. I started visiting places I hadn't been allowed to go. My mom's house, my sister's neighborhood, even the little cafe where Lucas and I had our first date. Everywhere I went, I asked questions, showed photos, reached out, and slowly, the dam broke. My sister told me she'd emailed me dozens of times. My mom had sent letters. My cousin tried to visit. Lucas had intercepted it all. Every message, every call, every knock at the door. He had built a wall around me, and I had painted it with pretty colors and called it love. The worst part, he had faked evidence that I had chosen to cut them off. Screenshots of texts I'd never sent. Fake messages where I told them to stay away. Recordings edited to sound like I was saying things I never said. I needed help, so I called the only person I could trust, Leah, my best friend from college. The one Lucas said was bad news. She answered after one ring. Naomi, she whispered. Oh my God, are you safe? That was when I broke. Sobbing in a parking lot, clutching the steering wheel, I told her everything. Over the next week, Leah helped me build a plan. We dug into Lucas's devices, found a secret laptop he kept locked in the garage, encrypted, but Leah was a tech wizard. Inside were folders. One labeled, Contingency, Naomi's Collapse. I'll never forget the pit in my stomach when we opened it. Emails between Lucas and a divorce attorney dated a year ago. voice memos, where he rehearsed things he'd say to paint me as unstable. One PDF file that made my blood run cold. Modified prenuptial agreement, signed Naomi 2019 only. I never signed anything in 2019. My signature had been forged. He had planned everything. From the moment he began isolating me, he was building a case to leave me broken, penniless, and discredited if I ever pushed back. But now, I had the evidence, and I had rage. Not the kind that screams. The kind that smiles while setting everything you built on fire. It took everything in me not to confront Lucas that night. He came home like nothing had changed, kissed me on the cheek, complained about traffic, asked what was for dinner. I said pasta. He smiled. I smiled back. Because in 3 days, I had an appointment with a lawyer. In 5, I had a meeting with a judge. But tonight, I was going to play the role he wrote for me one last time. The morning of the court hearing was unusually bright. I wore the same blue dress I wore when we got engaged. Lucas always said it brought out my eyes. Leaded Leia sat beside me on the courthouse bench, gripping my hand so tight her knuckles turned white. Across the room, Lucas looked smug, confident, like he was 10 steps ahead. He didn't know I'd already handed over a flash drive of damning evidence to the judge. He didn't know I had recorded every conversation from the last week, every lie, every veiled threat. He didn't know he was about to lose. The courtroom was small, intimate. Every word echoed like thunder. Lucas's lawyer started with rehearsed concern. My client has been a devoted husband. He's grown increasingly worried about Naomi's erratic behavior, paranoia, aggression, memory loss. I nearly laughed. Then my lawyer stood. Your Honor, we intend to demonstrate that this entire narrative was constructed by Mr. Donovan as a means to isolate, manipulate, and financially trap my client. She clicked a remote. The courtroom monitor lit up with screenshots, emails, forged text, every tool Lucas used to erase my voice. Then came the voice recordings. The lawyer's jaw clenched. Lucas flinched. But I wasn't done. I'd like to speak, I said, rising to my feet. Lucas opened his mouth. The judge raised a hand. I looked him dead in the eye. You told me my family didn't love me, that I was better off without them. You made me believe I was crazy, emotional, broken. But you were just scared. Scared of who I'd be without you, controlling the narrative. He looked pale now, shaky. I took a deep breath. You buried me in silence, but I grew roots in the dark. And now I'm the one holding the shovel. The courtroom was silent until the judge spoke. I find sufficient evidence of coercive control, manipulation, and document forgery. The prenup is void. Financial restitution will be ordered. Full separation is granted. Court is adjourned. Double quotes bang. Just like that, I was free. Lucas stood frozen. His lips parted like he wanted to say something, plead, threaten, something, but he said nothing. For the first time in years, I had the power, and I walked out without looking back. That night, I sat in my old bedroom at my mother's house. She had left it untouched, all those years, same posters on the wall, same books on the shelf. She came in holding a cup of tea, kept hoping, she whispered. Every holiday, I left your seat open, just in case. I broke down in her arms, ugly crying. The kind that makes your ribs hurt. My sister came in next. No words, just a long, tight hug. We didn't need to talk. Not yet. Love, real love, doesn't need an explanation. Over the next few months, the pieces of my life slowly came back together. I filed charges against Lucas for forgery and financial abuse. The DA took the case. He lost his job, his reputation. The carefully crafted mask of the perfect husband shattered. I wasn't celebrating his downfall, but I was celebrating my return. Leah and I co-founded a small nonprofit called Silent No More for women recovering from emotional isolation and coercion. Our first support group filled up in 2 weeks. One woman showed up with a black eye. Another hadn't spoken to her parents in 6 years. Every story was a different version of mine. I bought a new place. Small, quiet, sun-drenched, and I brought back things Lucas made me throw away. Old journals. Childhood photos. My dad's watch. The hand-knitted blanket my mom gave me in college. Each item felt like reclaiming a part of myself. One afternoon, I found an old voicemail from my father I'd saved years ago but had forgotten. It said, "You're stronger than you think. Baby, girl, don't ever let someone dim that light in you." I closed my eyes. I could almost smell the cinnamon rolls. A year after the trial, I visited Lucas's new place, not out of spite, but because closure isn't something you get handed in, something you choose to take. He opened the door. Stunned, he looked older, smaller, defeated. "I'm not here to fight," I said. "I just came to say, I forgive you. But that doesn't mean I'll forget." He blinked, speechless. I stepped back. "And next time you try to break someone like me, remember, some women don't shatter. We sharpen." My house smells like cinnamon again, but not because of old memories, because I bake them now for the support group. For my mom when she visits, for myself on quiet Sundays. I light candles. I play music. I cry when I'm happy. Again, there's a photo on my desk of me, my sister, and my mom at the beach, wind in our hair, sand in our shoes, smiles real and wide. That photo is framed in gold. Right next to it, a tiny engraved plaque that says, "It wasn't revenge. It was resurrection."